Bear with me. Okay, so yesterday we looked at how to create our own servers, and we looked at various concepts which helps you to understand what does a server mean and how the protocols play in the backend, and what is the by by importing just one library and using just one line, all those things are taken care by a framework. But we should know how it works. So that's the reason yesterday we took time to understand what is a service and how do we create a service as an extra. So today we will try to aggregate all of these components. So we have all these components, and then let us try to put this uh, in one color, and then let us see if we can write a function or write a module which is like an aggregator. Let us call this as main.py, and the idea is once we have this main.py, we can change the name later, but yeah, once we have this main.py, we should be able to now we have server, right? So server which takes in subscription. Okay, subscribers. Okay, and then we also have in the backend we also have a database. This is a lightweight database, but you can use any database that you want. And then these are the components: news and calendar and so on. So this will be running, uh, and API is exposed to outside world called subscribe. Once they subscribe, the data goes into the database like that. And then what this main.py intends to do from our design is that, so it reads the list of subscribers from database, and then it calls these modules. So if this is main.py, so this is called um, um, what is it called? Function call diagram or use case diagram or something like that. Um, main.py flow diagram. Main.py. So it calls news. It invokes news.py. News.py gives some data. Similarly, news.py, and similarly other modules as well. So one by one it calls. So this is the first step, and second step is to get other data, right? This is the um, flow diagram. This we call in software engineering as flow diagram. Just to understand how modules interact using function calls. Function calls, it can be interfaces as well. For example, subscription is an external interface. So if we can generalize it to call as interface, so then we can get all these outputs. Probably each one of these output probably in some sort of list, and then we can aggregate them in one data type. So data type, it could be, just to differentiate them, probably it could be in a dictionary like this, a dictionary, and then probably like news as key, and then whatever we get output can be put in a list. Okay, so today's news, like headlines for today, and similarly calendar, tasks, or calendar or tasks, whatever you call it, and then weather data. So these are the three different types of data that we are trying to um, aggregate this. And once we have this in a dictionary, idea is we need to send a mail, right? So we have mail module. And how do we put that in a certain text, certain way, that this text is automatically uh, formatted in a way that user is able to read. So we are not going to send a dictionary, but we are going to um, format it. So probably it's like hello, good morning, something like that. Hello, today here is today's news, something like that. Here is your daily dose of something like that. Okay. Okay. And this is quite personalized because you are fetching data from calendar and all these things. Of course, for each of the subscribers, they currently we do not have their what do you call calendar details and all these things, authentication and all these things. In fact, that can be automated if they give the information that is required, but that part we are not focusing. So we are what we are trying to focus is this calendar is not their real calendar. Probably they have got it somewhere. Let us put that in some file, something like that. For now, we'll just use my calendar, and then um, they need to do some setup if they really want to extract data from their calendar, because we don't have the keys, right? So that's the point here. And then you can send news and weather. If you cannot in your personal project, you can do this on your laptop because you have access to your calendar. But but for the calendars which are like private to them, we cannot do that. So probably there is a different way to access them, make it public or something like that. But yeah, news, and then probably in a paragraph, and weather and their tasks, something like that. Okay. So this should be our mail forward. This is the outcome that we are expecting out of this exercise. So how do we put that in one place is what we are going to do today. And I want you to repeat the same exercise because now all our concepts come to a realization so far whatever we did, and there are going to be problems in aggregating, and we'll see why those problems are coming, and then we will make this work. So that's the goal for today. Let's see how far we can achieve that. Okay. Since we have AI tools, so we can do it faster. So, set this. Okay, yes. Okay. So let us create a new folder called as uh, project, just PROJ. And what are the things that we require? We will just drag them to this project, and let us see what we can achieve out of this. So we need weather.py. Um, we need probably yeah, we need mail.sendmail.py, and we're going to need news.py. We need to modify this because there are some problems in parsing the HTML. You can use any other uh, website for news scraping as well, not necessarily this particular website. Okay, but as a model, we just take this and use it with there, and then there should be calendar. Yeah, calendar.py, and then let's see if there is main already. Main is not there. So let us create main. I'll just drag this here, and then and modify this. Okay. So our focus is only this project for today. So this folder, and we have got all the required items, and let us try to stitch this together. Okay. So now these are just modules py. In fact, you can have multiple folders as well here. So you can have something like news, and then news can be back here, and then you can import that news.py and so on. But this is fairly simple. We have divided it into like four modules, and they should be good enough for us. Okay. And yeah, let us use AI to let us try to understand whether um, we can take the help of this tool, and then do things. Okay. So here, simple code and main.py. So let me ask what it now the prompt engineering comes to picture. Um, I have four. I'll just take news, weather, and calendar. I have news.py, uh, py, and weather.py. Um, this this modules um, can be used to create create a new module in .py. Um, each of these each of the outcome of this output of these modules um, modules need to be aggregated um, in in a, in a dictionary in a text. Uh, this next example. So if you provide example, it's like a lot better. Uh, Temperature. Yeah, we can. Of course, we can keep this modifying. Like again, here we can have dictionary, but currently I'll just make it as list temperature, probably humidity, etc. You can also do it like this. Temperature, not this, like list of dictionaries where you can mention age of this temperature and all these things as 28, something like this. You can also do it like this. So this is um, much better. So as you write code, there are a lot of ideas that pop up in your head, and if the idea is good, pick it up. So that's the idea here. Okay. Humidity is say 10%, something like that. And then we have calendar. Our tasks is better. So, etc. Example like this. Um, Vendor tools and also okay, let us just get this done and let's see what how it does. Okay, so I'm doing it in agent mode. Let's see. I have just fine. I'll just tell the in proj directory in the project directory. That is my source code directory. Source code directory. Uh, do not look elsewhere for reference. So we have we have given a context and we have given also a constraint and we have also given an example. So in our prompt engineering class, we have learned that. So there are few things that we need to form nice prompts so that we give as much context as possible. This can be even better. So you can take this and you can refine this in on ChatGPT or somewhere else, and you get a proper requirement sort of a thing. But the main components are giving the context, giving constraints, giving examples, and also sometimes you can also give a role. Like for example, if I'm a developer, I can give this. So because we are already using GitHub Copilot for generating code, so I don't need to specifically say that as a developer and do this. But if you're doing it for as an architect or as a product manager, as a product lead or whatever, test engineer and QA engineer, whoever you are, so you can utilize those roles and get specific outcomes. So that is what we did in prompt engineering. So there are like different strategies. So I have sent you some of the reference videos where you can learn about prompt engineering. So that is like most at the moment it is like one of the important skills that everybody should be having, because if you don't know to use the prompt, then we won't be able to do any of these things and put our ideas onto the code. So let me just ask and let's see how it does. It is in agent mode. Since we have given context, it has read only these things, and it is trying to understand what this. Now I'll create the model. You can see is how fast it did, right? So it read those modules and then added this, and then now you can do main.py, and it says that this is what is the output. Okay. Let's see if let's just verify now. So now code generation is not a big deal, right? So you know how to generate the code because it's like having like one of the top 10 developers at your discretion. Um, but the thing is, in order to build, you need to have what you need to build, right? So that imagination and then connecting things is what matters. And then how do we clarify our thoughts for ourselves? And then how do we give that in a format to the LLM? That is all this copilots and these things. So first thing that we need to achieve is to be clear in our own ideas. Okay. Okay, let us see what it has done. So if we go to main, aggregate data, okay, it's written a function called as aggregate data. Let me see what it's doing. Aggregate data, okay. it's a function, and it is used script TOA headlines and okay, fetch calendar events. Okay, it is fetching calendar events. Okay, good. And then fetch weather data. This is example coordinates. So this is like we're fixing one point, but in fact we can modify the weather.py in a way that user can, in the user subscription, he can also we can also have an additional column which is his name, email ID, and also his or her location, so that we can further personalize this subscription. So currently we are just hard coding, so that can be easily done, right? So you get that, put that into database, and then you can read them. Okay, and now it is getting, you can see that, see, it has got a lot of other data, but since we have given an example, it is trying to fetch only the temperature. Okay, and I think it has guessed, or maybe looking at the code, it knows the structure as well, right? Let's see if it really works. Okay, and then it has get the weather data, and then it has created a dictionary, just like we have mentioned. So this dictionary is nothing but this, however we have told. So this is a simple, very simple thing that it has done. Okay, but you need to verify. Okay, and let us keep this. So there is an option to like keep this, which means it saves. Let us try to run it and see if we have got any problems. Let me return aggregated data, and this printing aggregated already. Okay, let us run this. Okay, there is. Yesterday we put a breakpoint and we forgot to remove. Let me just continue. Good. So, okay, now we're trying to we try to run this. Of course, nothing works in first go, right? So now we will understand the output and then try to do things. Okay, so let us look at this. Where did we execute? Here. This is the place that we have executed. So main.py and Python. So if you can also get into that folder and just type Python main.py. Okay, but this by using this, it uses the absolute path. Okay, but that is not our that is not something which bothers us. Okay, so and then okay, ignore this because of the breakpoint. We have got hit this. It has stopped execution, and C means continue. We will remove the breakpoint and try to understand this part. Okay, aggregated data, and then this. So what are we trying to get? News, tasks, and there is some problem here, and then weather. You can see that weather and temperature is most likely it is correct. So that means this part looks like it is good. Okay, green. But this part, task news also, it looks it is okay because we were unable to fetch Times of India news, but we will modify that for part, something else. You can try that. Like you can use different news vendors websites, and then we can get that, because scraping is uh, scraping is where you go to HTML and fetch the data, right? Like you can just read the HTML file, and then that's the easy part using the libraries. But sometimes those websites don't. It's not very obvious that you go to that page and get that HTML page. Maybe it has internal links, ads are popping up, and things are dynamic in the backend. So in order to do like fetch exactly from Times of India, we need to understand its structure, and then we need to specify its structure to the core to the GPT, and then we need to parse, which we haven't done because that was not our goal. Our goal was to understand how the scraping works. Okay, but you can use some other websites as well. So this looks like, let us just mark it as mark it as like orange. News is like orange, which needs to be looked at, but it looks like okay. Okay. So obviously, this particular weather, this looks green. Okay. So this is okay for us. Okay. We don't have to like we have first level of confidence we have got already. Okay. But this part does, it looks not so good. So here we sort of mark in our head that okay, this is a red flag. Okay, something is not working. So this is how you sort of in your mind you sort of color code so that you know what to prioritize, right? So and then you prioritize the red ones first, and then you can go and target orange ones, and then you can refine whatever is working. So this is the problem. So the problem, if you look at this particular error, we have already faced this error before. So it's actually quite simple because we need credentials.json in order to fetch this particular JSON file, or which is a text file, has got content of what do you call authentication related details, right? So that is not available because let's try to debug. Let me just clear. So let us fix that error first. Go here, and where was our credentials.json? Here. Okay. Let us bring that here. You can see that. Okay, let us run it again, and obviously we'll get some problem. This, where is main.py? Let's run it again. Clear the screen. So search file directory credentials. Okay. We're still getting this error. Let's try to go to that file and find out what's the problem. Okay. So task. Okay. And now once we uh, got this error, so now we can focus on just that module. So which shows that module. So this is the module that. How did we find out? It's quite simple, right? Because this is weather's function, and this is your calendar function, and then go and click on this, and you can test only this file if you want. Okay, but let us try to debug using PDB and understand how we can use like multiple levels. Okay, so go here. I'm going to go in at the beginning of the file. So you sort of debug, and this is the breakpoint. Let me just run it again. So we are at line number 44 here. So you can also press L and C. Okay, this is the line it's going to be executed. So this is the advantage of PDB. And then you see that if I just press C, it will just continue and it will execute this function. But I don't want that. So I want to jump into this function. In order to jump into this function, we call it stepping into that function. So step or S is the shortcut, right? So you jump here. Okay. And then you can see we are inside this function, which is this. Where are we now? Here, line number 13. So this part we don't need to worry about because this was like orange for us. This we can, we already know what's the problem and we have got empty list, but we are going to fix it later. Code inside this and see where are we. And next line, you can see this. So this is the problematic function, right? So that's what here. And you can now jump into this, which is stepping into this. Let me just step in. So next line, and then help. You can see here that we are in this line, which is nothing but this function we have imported. And it is calendar.py line number 10. That is what it is showing. And then let us do step by step. If exists token.json answer not valid, and you can print the values. You can see that creds is still none here. Where are we? So if you get lost, just press L or list. So it will give you the context. Okay. So it is this creds are not generated. And let us look at why this is not generated. Token.json. And let us go further and see if there are any more problems. So it did not find this file. Now let us look at if it doesn't find, it is going to do something here. Now list and grids are, let's look at flow. Okay. This line is not executed yet because this is a multi-line instruction, which is function call. But yeah, you need to. It says flow not there because this line is not executed because there are two lines here. So it is just divided into two lines. So now we are here, and let us. Now you can see that this is the error that we are focusing on. Of course, if you are like familiar with the code and if you're already a little bit experienced, you can directly go to this line because you're pretty familiar with the code, right? So it is trying to fetch something from credentials.json. So, and it is not able to find credentials.json. So so think about this, why it is not, I'll just quit, why it is not able to find. So the first thing that you need to do is look at the present working directory where we are executing. Okay. So if you look at, we are here. Okay. But our code is actually hiding inside this. Okay. This. So we need to like step into this. Step into learn and then again code. So this is where our code is there. Okay. So when we execute from 2 levels up, so it is looking the execution code, it is looking for credentials.py in this folder, which is like the root folder. Okay. But it's not there. So now we need to point it either if you want to work with the same level or in a different directory. So we need to specify complete path, absolute path, or absolute path works always. So, or a relative path saying that, okay, this is inside this directory. Okay. So either you can do that or you can change the directory of execution itself so that, uh, you know, you are in that particular context. So it depends like what you are deciding. Okay. Let us just try to execute here. Now we should be having more problems here. Code and not code here. Uh, project. Project is our directory. Python 3 main.py. Now you can see. Okay. Now you can see that we got a different error. Error fetching the calendar events address is already used or something like that. Okay. Let us see where it is coming from. Tasks.py. Oh, sorry. Calendar.py. What is is it trying to do? Okay. So yesterday I think this server is already running. So we also learned um, that if a port is open already, and if we are trying to access that port, it will give some error. So that is what it is saying. Address is already in use. So this we learned in Canada that we run a local server and then read that credential.json. So this is not in our design, but it is coming from Google's way to access things. Okay, so that is what it does. So we generated this code, but this is not part of our original design, in the sense that we should not be bothered about this. But this is the way to access the Google Calendar. So it runs its own, a local server to do something with credentials. Okay, so that's the point here. Okay, and let us. So there are multiple options now. So either you can change the port, or you can go and kill the process. Probably I'll just change the port for now. 8080. I'll try to use 8081. Uh, it has got access is blocked because we did long time ago. And I think now it is using something else because I was not using this email ID. So where is this coming? So we need to configure all these things. So how do we configure and all these things we have already seen? So currently access is blocked um, for this. So it is trying to open this, right? And then it is using my default login, and then it is saying that what client was not found and all this. So you know how to fix this problem because we have already fixed this problem. I'm not going to get into that because it will be a repetition. So once you fix that, now we have like pinpointed the problem, right? So if you fix that authentication error, you should be able to um, get the calendar events. Okay, so that you can try yourself. Until you try, you won't understand the flow and what's happening, right? So whenever you're stuck, go back to that video and look at like how things are working, and then again try to fix it and move on. Okay, so that's the way to go forward. Then let me just quit. Q stands for quit. Okay. And we found the error, and then you need to fix it. But currently, because this credentials.json, so it doesn't have anything client ID. So the reason that I have put it like this is GitHub, when it looks at these client secrets and some of the like passwords or anything like that. So what it does is it detects that, okay, this is a secret. You are already trying to check in the secret. It's a security issue. So it sort of stops you to upload it. So it thinks that you're doing by mistake and you can override it, but generally you don't keep any secrets in your source code when you check into the public repositories. So there are different ways to deal with this. So you can create like vault, and then you can use access the vault and get the secrets and so on, but which is out of the scope. But generally, you don't keep the secret. You generate the secret, or you fetch the secret from some vault and then use it here. Okay, so these things you need to fill. So which we have already studied. So this, if you fill all these things, so this will start working. Okay. So now we know that that a red task, or the thing which was not working, we found the error, but I don't want to repeat like how to fix it and things like that because it's already covered. So you fix that and then move to this. So now it is also crying about like complaining about error fetching the weather data. So it was working here because we quit it one by one. It did not execute that program. Okay. So now let us just go here and try to just okay, try to so in order to like run it completely, I'm going to just um, comment this. You can right click and there is a shortcut, but I'm going to just manually comment this. I don't want this code to be executed because there is a problem which can be fixed. Then I'm going to just take these two, the list humidity and tasks. Let me just get this main.py working. Okay. And then you can also like delete the breakpoints, find the breakpoints, and then this is not required. I'm going to delete the breakpoint. Back to main.py. And let us see if we are able to get just two of these things. Our goal is to make this main.py work. Okay. So now the main.py is working, and we are just commented the problematic code at the moment because that is an assignment, or you can take, you can fix that. We already know how to fix it and what is the reason. So once we find what is the root cause of why it is not working, now we can work on it, right? So that's the reason we have just commented this out. But yeah, you should not do it in real projects. If something is not working, you are not supposed to like um, uh, you know, um, give it a blind eye, right? So you need to work on it. So at the moment, we know how to fix it. Okay. So now we have just aggregated it. So now what we have done is we have understood the design and we have aggregated and we know the data structures. We have used prompt engineering to in order to generate this code, and we have also verified and tried to debug what's happening. So now this part is done. And now we can also say go back to Copilot and say that I need aggregated data. Aggregated. It has already got the context in this chat. Aggregated data to be sent on mail as text. Let us just not format or anything like that. As on mail as text. Use send mail.py to send mail if required, make changes to send mail.py. Okay. So let us look at this now. So we have fixed, we have just aggregated and created one aggregation module. And then now we are trying to do the next thing. Okay. So let us look at this. It seems that send does not exist in file location project send mail.py. Okay, why? It's where right send mail.py. Not saved here. Nope. No, there's an okay. It is creating a send mail.py. Okay, fine. Not a problem. Maybe there's okay. I'm not sure why it is not fine. Let's see what is changed here. Let us go back to main.py project to send mail. Let us just keep this done. Now, where did it generate? Generate here. It doesn't look like listen. Okay, it is referring to some other project. Okay, let us give it context. Mm, or maybe context is lost. I'm not sure. Let me give it again. History. Chap. Okay. And this is also one of the problems, right? So we sort of found out why SendMail is not there. That is because there is one more proj folder. So it has created here. Okay. So now let us bring back that to project here. Okay. So let me just delete that project folder altogether because this is confusing. Move to trash. So let us take let's just copy relative path. Look at proj dir. Um, make modifications to main dot py. Use I need to aggregate data from. Let me also provide it data from aggregated data function and send a mail. Use send mail in about directory send mail.py send my module in about directory and then um, make modifications if required. Okay. Let us do that. Let's see if it does it here. It's also modified. Okay. Sendmail contains sendmail modifications or modify sendmail to make subjects. Yes, because this particular sendmail.py does not take dynamic subject. So it thought for some time. So it read and it is making modifications. So we are already familiar with sendmail.py and you can see how it is making changes. You can see that this part was not done before. Now it has parameterized it. And then now it has given a summary saying that, okay, I've made changes in sendmail.py and also main.py is changed. Excuse me. And it gave summary like what it got changed, right? So you can look at this, take a glance and see what it has done. And then you can accept the changes. So I'm going to accept these changes. If you're not happy, of course, you can always ask it to remodify it. Now let us try to just execute it again. Let's see if it works. We're in project folder. And then let me just send. Click on main.py. Now it is trying to use email sent successfully. Let me see whether I have received a mail. I'm going to which email ID and that email. Yeah, I've got that. Let me share it here. This is the mail I've got, which we are trying to do it, right? So this part is done. So which means that we have understood how things work. We have connected them uh, into modules, and then we have like sequentialized it, calling function by function, and then we have directed our Git Copilot to do things for us. Okay, and since we have already configured this stuff already in previous classes, we are just making sure that these things got connected. So imagine that this is one person doing it, right? So if it's like a bigger project, each of these modules can be in different folders. One person is working for each of these modules. Probably it's a team working, and then we fixate on the outcome of each of these modules, and then we try to utilize that. So if you do not do the like high level design and low level design that we discussed, it will be just like you want to create a pot, but you just got a clay and then you're just mixing, and you don't have a direction, and you cannot create a pot. It will become something else. So that is the reason that you need to have an idea about how to build a pot, and use the tools in such a way that you actually get a pot. So that roadmap needs to be sketched first. So once that is done, which we have done in like high level design requirements and all these things, so we have reached so far. So now we are able to achieve uh, a POC, which is like proof of concept, that okay, these things are connected, these things are working in the backend, and I am aware of these problems, and then you can modify this. And then now we can refine it. So what is the next step that we can do is, for example, that mail was just very plain in text, right? You can also beautify this. So you can actually give some templates, or you can, in fact, tell that I need in this format. You can provide some website reference that, okay, I need in this format or in a table format or anything like that, and provide that data into agent. It will generate a text which is like beautified, and then you can send. So all your mails that goes and comes into your mailbox. There are multiple formats. General format that you see is HTML format. That is why you're able to have links, and then add pictures, and highlight certain things and so on. So HTML is supported in the all the mails. So you can take the same content, put it into HTML tags, and then you can send it out outside your box. Okay, so that is like beautification part, which can be refined. Okay, so this is about like like aggregating all the project. Now this is just a POC, right? So now what is still pending? If you look at from a project point of view, if you are a person who is managing the project, you're a project manager or team lead or something like that. So this project is working. So the POC is done. Okay. So, but it does not have all the attributes that it qualifies to be a product. So what are the things? It needs to be QA qualified, which is nothing but quality assured. So how do we assure quality at this level? By adding test cases, right? So we have written some tests for all of this, but we have written some tests. So, but it is just for understanding. But we have to write tests for each of these functions that we are using. Okay, send mail.weather.py. Each of these mails, like for example, this um, function, every function that you see, if there is a way to simulate that and write a test case, of course, you can take the help of Copilot here. It will do a job, but we need to come up with test cases saying that, okay, this is what I'm doing, and this is the input, this is the output that I'm expecting. Verify these sort of cases. What you, for example, from Weather API, if you do not tomorrow, because Weather API is not in your hand, right? Somebody else is providing that thing. So what happens if somebody changes the code and changes the format, right? So you need to think about that, and you need to simulate the current output and say this is the output. And if something fails there, you should be able to easily catch it within like next run. Okay. So the first time that you fetch weather data again. Okay. So that is about test cases. So one is QA. Your POC is done and you can modularize it and all these things. So once your QA is done, you also need to deploy it, right? So we need to understand what are the components here, and then we can deploy it. So I'll show you one simple deployment, and then you should be able to access. And then this is QA. Q has multiple things. One is your test cases, unit test cases, and also your end-to-end test cases. What is end-to-end test cases in our context is user should be able to come into your website, which is hosted, and add the data into add the data, and that goes into the table, right? So we have name and email ID, and probably current. We might also get the location as well. Okay, and yeah, and then this main.py, which we have just executed. Currently, we are executing it manually, right? So we need to schedule this main.py. Say, for example, every morning 6:30 a.m. This program needs to be run, and subscribers should be able to get that particular um, data, which is news and weather and calendar events if they have configured it uh, on this. So we will look at scheduling part as well. So there are a lot of tools to schedule. In Python, there is inbuilt scheduler. We will look at that. So this is at the deployment end. So now things are working. Deployment end, we need to make sure that the main.py is called every morning at 6:30 a.m. So that requires a scheduler. Scheduler. So this is nothing but in terms of Linux, it is just a cron job. Cron job is, what is a cron job, or else you just Google it up. Basically, it's like it's a scheduled job at Linux telling that, okay, do this at this point of time. Okay, so there is a format to that. So scheduler is nothing but cron. One is a scheduler, and second thing is what else do we need to do? Expose this APIs, right? Uh, Run our service, or this we have already done, which we haven't used in this particular today's folder. We need to bring that. Where was that? It's not visible here, but uh, subscribe.py, I think. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, we need to run these two. Once we run these two things, so it is our basic deployment is done. Okay, so what else needs to be done once we deploy? What else needs to be taken care is that whether we have enough logging, because we don't, developers won't be having access to the code in the production. So that should be your assumption, and that should be your like the design of the product itself like that, right? Because you won't have access to the servers, and only some people have access. It's always better that we should be writing the code, and we should have enough debug statements or logs so that we can look at the logs and easily find out the problems here. So one of the things which is missing here is these print statements needs to be better, and we should be using logging. So these are the things that, what we generally think is once we are done with the project, okay, now we have achieved the POC. So generally what happens is we become happy, and then we think that, okay, this task is done, and we become complacent. So this is one of the main problems working in development end, because developers are like they want to do creative things, and once you get the POC, it's like, okay, I have achieved that, but it's not just doing the POC, right? So there should be a product which is running and to be used by somebody else. So those things also needs to be taken care. So complete in terms of like personal characteristics, you should be having end-to-end responsibility, right? End-to-end responsibility, and you should also uh, make sure that product is um, debuggable, okay, and it should have some sort of observability in the sense that you have the product running somewhere outside, you should get some sort of like statistics or some logs or some data back to you where um, you ensure that things are running smoothly. If something goes wrong, you should be getting some alerts. So that is out of scope, but yeah, that comes under end-to-end responsibility. So these are the characteristics of a like good developers. Okay, so just don't stop here. So this is just one starting point of something else. Okay, so until you take this and deploy it on your local laptop, and we will also design a simple UI tomorrow. We'll generate the code and then make uh, enter the names, and then it should be visible in our database, and we will run a scheduler. So that's a task for tomorrow. You will just focus on UI plus scheduler, and then we will look at deployment on Friday. Okay. I hope this was interesting, and please try to do this. But if you haven't done this, looks like too much to do, but it's not actually, because we have gone step by step. We have understood each one of these concepts and then generated the code that is required for achieving our requirements. And then it takes like day by day, right? Every 1 hour, sorry, every day 1 hour, we are able to achieve this. So if you're like managing bigger project, you spend more time and then you can build even bigger project. I would suggest you to spend at least 1 hour a day and then get this thing done probably within 5 or 6 days. Okay, because you're not writing code animation, because it is getting generated and we learned how to generate, right? Okay, that's it for today, and thanks for staying. Yeah, take care. Yeah, so have a great day.